Okay, so global warming and greenhouse effect notes. So what is the greenhouse effect? It's a normal process where gases in the atmosphere trap heat from the sun, which warms the earth enough for life to exist. Okay, so greenhouse effect is a normal effect on Earth. If we didn't have the greenhouse effect, our Earth would be a frozen planet. So we need it to happen. So what's the problem? Human activities are causing gases to build up too quickly, all right, which is causing Earth to heat up too fast. So we'll talk about what some of those human activities are here next. Okay? So next, we have a table of greenhouse gas sources. So there's 3 main greenhouse gases. Do you know what the biggest one is? What did our reading tell us? What was the biggest greenhouse gas? Yeah. Carbon dioxide. Sorry, Sam? Yes, carbon dioxide. You know the symbol for carbon dioxide? CO2. Okay? So we can shorten it by CO2. Now, all greenhouse gases have natural sources, and then they have human activity sources. Okay? Natural sources of CO2, the main one would be decaying living things. Okay, what do I mean by decaying? What does that mean? Yeah? Yeah, so living things, when they die, they break down, don't they? You have microbes and bacteria and stuff that break it down. When those microbes do that, they let off CO2. It's very natural. Super normal. It's the cycle of life, right? Okay? Another very natural source would be volcanoes. Volcanoes give off a boatload of carbon dioxide when they erupt. Like a lot, like tons. Okay, so it's a good thing volcanoes don't erupt every day, or we'd have lots of carbon dioxide, right? Okay, can anybody give me the number 1 human activity that puts carbon dioxide into our atmosphere? Number 1, yeah. You on the right track? On the right track, yep. Not breathing. Breathing is a source of carbon dioxide, right? When we exhale, we definitely breathe out carbon dioxide. However, not enough to affect our atmosphere. What's something bigger? Forest fires is one, but not the big one. Yep. That's the second one, actually. Yes, Quinn?
Burning fossil fuels?
Burning fossil fuels. What's a fossil fuel? There are 3 of them. Do you know what they are? Yes? Coal, oil,
and smoke.
And natural gas. Smoke has those things in it, okay? Natural gas. Natural gas is, most of the houses in town run off natural gas. Like if you have a gas stove or a gas water heater, natural gas is what's fueling it. Oil. Oil creates the gas that goes in cars, okay? Or anything else that uses gas, okay? And then coal. Coal, you guys know what coal looks like? Black rock, right? It literally looks like charcoal that you put in your grill, all right? When you burn coal, power plants use it. They burn coal and then they collect the energy that comes off the burn, okay? And then they make it into electricity, okay? So our lights in this classroom, hi. Oh, thank you. The lights in our classroom, does anybody know who our power company is? What does this area use for a power company? You may know. Lots of parents work for them. Yeah?
Alliant Country?
On the right track. Alliant Energy. Okay, Alliant Energy, they have a power plant in Cedar Rapids. So Cedar Rapids is a power plant where they burn the coal, okay? And then the electricity goes through wires and hits Tama, and that's where we get our lights. Okay, so burning fossil fuels is our number 1 way for carbon dioxide to get into the atmosphere caused by humans. Okay, now why do we burn fossil fuels? We burn them because of cars or other transportation. Power plants use coal. They burn coal for electricity. Okay, factories that are creating, goods for humans, they burn fossil fuels for their factories to run. All right, and another giant reason or human activity that causes carbon dioxide to get into our atmosphere is destroying rainforests. What do trees eat? Carbon dioxide. If you cut them all down, nobody there to use it, right? Okay, and when I say destroying rainforests, I'm not talking about cutting down enough forest to build a home. I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of rainforest they're cutting down. All right, what's another common greenhouse gas? Remember from the reading? Yeah. Water vapor is one, but not one of the top three. Methane is the next one. Have you heard of methane before? It's a type of gas. The compound for methane is CH4. No, you do not have to memorize that. Most of us are really familiar with CO2, but not necessarily CH4. Methane, natural sources of methane are, again, decaying living things. When things decay, it lets off methane. Methane smells bad. Have you ever been around something that's decaying? It's pretty stinky, right? It's from the methane. Wetland emissions is a huge methane. Wetlands, there we go. Source. Wetlands have lots of bacteria, microbes, things like that because it's wet, okay? And those microbes and bacteria let off methane. All right, does anybody know what the biggest human activity that puts methane into the atmosphere? Any ideas? Burning fossil fuels again. Okay, for the same reason as before, so we don't have to rewrite it. Cars, power plants, factories. Burning fossil fuels puts methane into the atmosphere just as much as it puts carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Okay, another big one is raising cattle. When cattle digest, so actually when all living things digest, they can create methane gas.
To the office, please. You'll be leaving.
Okay, methane gas comes from raising cattle. Now, cows are natural, right? Definitely natural. But is taking a couple hundred cows and putting them all in one yard and raising them for food natural, or is that a human activity? That's human, okay? All right, and the last one they mentioned in our reading is nitrogen oxides. There's lots of different kinds of them. Nitrogen oxides. Mostly created by bacteria, naturally. Okay, they let off nitrogen oxides. Human activities, once again, burning fossil fuels. Are you guys sensing a theme here? What's the biggest human activity that causes extra greenhouse gases in our atmosphere? Burning fossil fuels. Another big one would be fertilizers. Using fertilizers on crops puts nitrogen oxide in the atmosphere. We learned that from our last unit, right? Fertilizers are full of nitrogen. All right, so this is all about the greenhouse gas, greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is normal, but all of these human activities are causing it to get a little crazy, right? To go get out of hand. Okay, so if we have too much greenhouse effect, what happens to our planet? Warms up. That's called global warming. So greenhouse effect is like the motor that makes global warming happening. Okay, so if global warming was a car, the greenhouse effect would be the motor that makes it go. Okay, so let's talk about global warming. Okay, global warming is literally increasing air and ocean temperatures in a short period of time. Now, when I say short period of time, I'm talking about a century. How many years is a century? 100. Okay, 100. A decade is 10, right? 100 is a century. Now, 100 years to you guys sounds pretty long. It's because it's over your lifetime, right? There's not very many humans that are living to be 100 these days. Okay? But in Earth's lifetime, 100 years is a snap. Because Earth is 4.5 billion years old. So is 100 years a long time for Earth? No, it's like a snap. Okay? So you have to think of it in Earth's lifetime. Now, there's lots of effects of global warming. I picked 5 of them, but there are others. Okay, but we're just going to talk about five different effects. So what happens if there's global warming? So what? The planet gets a little warm. What's the big deal? There's lots of effects, okay? First one.
Grace Bowen to the office, please. You'll be leaving.
First one is extreme weather. Okay, what's been happening in the last 3-4 months in our country in terms of extreme weather? We've had a lot of what? Oh my gosh, come on. What's been happening down south for like the last 3 months? Over and over again. Hurricanes. Hurricanes and intense storms like derechos caused by global warming. At the end of the summer, around here we had a drought. Because what's a drought? No rain, right? Super dry. What's the opposite of a drought? Something we had this spring. A flood. Droughts and floods can be caused by global warming. Also, heat waves, like extreme heat, that usually happens towards the poles, not necessarily towards the equator, but towards the poles, they can have heat waves. The next effect, rising sea levels. Rising sea levels. What would cause the sea level to rise? Say it again. Okay, high temps causing what? Where's water come from? Glaciers, right? Melting glaciers and ice sheets. Okay, and that's because the ocean and air temperatures are increasing, so it's going to melt some ice. That's going to raise your sea level. Okay? If you raise the sea level too much, you got land that gets covered and flooded, right? Loss of species. What's a species? An animal or a plant. Okay? A living thing is considered a species, right? Or a species is one type of living thing. How would global warming cause loss of species? Why would something go extinct because of global warming? What? The heat, what do you mean? Come on, you guys. What happens? How would loss of species happen? What would global warming? Say it again. Forest fires, okay. You're getting to there. What are we destroying? They're destroying their habitat. So they have a loss of habitat. Okay? This is going to cause animals to move or die. They either have to leave or they'll die. This also causes changes in the food chain. Okay, so if the deer have to leave because they lose their habitat, then, what are the mountain lions going to eat? Right? They lost their food. So it messes up the food chain. 2 more. Food shortages. When I say food shortages, I'm talking for humans. How would we as humans lose food because of global warming? Yep. Kind of. Why would that happen, though? Because global warming doesn't necessarily mess with my money. So what's happening in the middle of there? It does eventually. But how? Quinn.
It's where like heat, like a heat wave and like a storm would destroy. For example, if you had like very long like drought
Sure.
and you wanted to like have like cool air, you had to keep on having the AC coming on,
Mm-hmm.
so it would like so it would be more expensive.
Okay. Okay, well, what happened in the spring and then what happened later this summer? We had a what and then a what? Yeah, you had a flood in the spring, right? And then we had a drought at the end of the summer. What's that going to mess with? What's it messing with? Come on, farmers! Messes with your crops, exactly. Okay, so we have less growing seasons. They're more unpredictable because of floods and droughts. Okay, you can also have changes in livestock and fishery habitats. All right, and then the last effect I put on here was human health risks and poverty. So because of this less growing seasons, we have less food, okay? Less crops, less livestock. So because of that, we can get poor nutrition and increased hunger. Okay, remember, because you have no crops, or less crops, I'll say, or livestock to eat. Okay, what's poverty mean? Okay, to be poor. So how would global warming cause people to be poor? What does extreme weather do? Destroys your what? Your home, your crops, your livelihood, right? Think about the derecho. How long was our community down? We didn't have power for a couple of weeks, right? We were down. That can cause loss of homes, things like that. That's going to cause some poverty. Extreme weather destroys homes and crops. Good. And like I said, there are other effects. I just focused on 5 of them.